Hello, everyone. We're live with Jack and Joe show on the most wonderful time of the year, transfer deadline day. Jack, how are you doing?
Yes, very well, thank you. Bit of a stressful day as always, deadline day. It's just unbelievably everything's just up in the air. You don't know what's happening. We've seen a
Yeah.
few big moves today, other clubs, but let's talk Fulham.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it's one of those days where you're checking your phone constantly. You're trying to focus on work. You're trying to focus on everything else. But I mean, it's so exciting, even though, to be honest, not much has actually been confirmed. Very quickly before we start, I've just got a special shout out to a good friend of mine, Hector. It is your birthday today, and I know you're watching. So just a very quick shout out there. And I hope you're enjoying transfer deadline day as much as we are. So the first bit of news, I guess, is that Anguissa's gone. Anguissa has gone on loan to Napoli. We extended his contract, which is a little bit of a strange one, which I guess we'll get into. But it sounds like there is still an option to buy. So what do you think about that one, Jack?
Yeah, look, I didn't see it coming. Obviously, I thought that he was just going out on loan with an option to buy, and that was pretty much it. And we could say goodbye to Anguissa. But the fact the club have put a contract extension in is great news because it means we can maybe get some more money out of him if he doesn't take up that option with Napoli.
Yeah.
But even so, I think the deal was worth about 15 million euros, rising up to 19 or something, which would be fantastic.
Yeah.
But yeah, the fact that he's signed it happens a lot. You sign a contract and you get sent out on loan. It's not the most unheard of thing ever. But no, it's fine. I think Anguissa was the one we were expecting to go. He is gone, and look, I think our midfield at the moment can survive without him. But I would like to get someone else in. Joe, what do you think?
100%, and that's what we're being linked to. I mean, I think the extended contract thing that could be to do with protecting his value if they don't take up the option. I mean, it means that he'll still have the same amount of time left on his deal. We could sell him permanently. By the way, just quickly want to address. I've seen quite a few comments about the lack of a certain yellow tie. I deeply apologise because I didn't have one, and I made promises I couldn't keep. So that is very embarrassing. But I guess we're no Jim White. But yeah, the rumours are that we've been linked to Matt Grimes today. We've apparently had a third bid rejected, and now it's come out from The Athletic, from Peter Rutzler and Adam Leventhal, who is the Watford reporter, that we're linked to both Nathaniel Chalobah. We're not sure if that's a permanent or a loan deal, and also Domingos Quina. Hopefully, I'm pronouncing that right. And that one would be a loan. So, Jack, if you had to take one of the three, who would it be?
It has to be Nathaniel Chalobah, good player for Watford, really decent last season. Yeah. I'm really excited about this one because it was something that was touted about a few weeks ago, and it kind of went quiet. We were interested in both Will Hughes and Nathaniel Chalobah, but now it seems as though Chalobah is the front runner after Will Hughes obviously went to Crystal Palace, and you chuck Keena in there as well. He's a good attacking midfielder who can play ahead of or behind Carvalho, depending on they can, switch depending on games or whatever. Yeah, I think Chalobah is a good midfielder. I would have liked Grimes, given I tweeted about him 3 weeks ago, saying what a great signing he's going to be.
The kiss of death. What a fabulous addition he would be.
Also, I just want to shout out the whole family who are watching from France. I'm currently home alone. I didn't go because of other commitments. So hello to everyone in France. I hope you're enjoying the stream. And Joe, wow, we've got over 300 viewers in here. This is unbelievable.
This is unforeseen territory, which is also the fact that we still don't know who we're going to sign. I mean, we still could get a fullback in. We've been linked to about 100 fullbacks today, most of which play right back. And then we've obviously had Santon, who could play either. And it's just a bit of a weird one. It's like Marco Silva has come out and said that we want a right back. We want someone with a similar profile to Tete. And obviously Odoi played very well, but it's one of those ones where he wants someone a bit more attacking. And we've been linked to quite a few people. So it's one where I don't know if something's going to happen. You sort of thought that something would have crept out by now. I personally hope that if we are going to get some players in, I hope that one of them is a right back, because as good as Odoi was, and Ryan Fredericks is a great shout, by the way, back on loan, if that would be possible. Wouldn't be surprised if a surprise one crept in.
Yeah, people want Ryan Fredericks back for sentimental reasons. I think he would actually work really well in the system we play, the bombing on fullbacks. Just a reminder, we are going to cover the Stoke game as well during this stream, because obviously this is the Jack and Joe show, which probably we would have done yesterday because it's deadline day. We thought we just merged the two, so a lot to look forward to over the next hour or so. I'm sure we might probably creep into the 23rd hour of the day as well, because things might get announced after 11. So just stay with us, and I'm sure we'll bring you the news as soon as we can get it. Someone here has put Fredericks with... Yeah, I mean, Fredericks left because he wanted more money. It's not really worked out for him at West Ham. He hasn't played many games. But Joe, I know for a fact that Kenny Tete being out for 4 months is a bit of a nightmare. So, Adoy, a lot of people saying, Anya, they want back. Emmy Kraft was linked today. So who would you want as your right back?
Yeah, I'd want someone with an attacking profile, like a Fredericks, like a Yedlin from Newcastle. And I want someone that can actually go forward, because to be completely honest, we're so solid defensively. I'm not that concerned. I'm not overly concerned about us at the back. I don't think that many teams are going to be able to hurt us. And as well as Adoy played against Stoke, which I guess we'll come on to, they targeted his side. And on another day, they could have got a goal at the back post in the second half, I think, which was his man. Absolutely. So it's a bit of a weird one where I respect Adoy and I think he's good in the Championship, but I want someone else. And if let's say it's December, let's say it's January, however long it is, 3 months, 4 months for Tete, seems to be a long time. We need someone for that amount of time. That's a long time of the season. And I think we need a suitable replacement, because our squad's so good. Christie is being shipped out. Steven Sessegnon doesn't seem to be fancied and is not the best going forward. Bobby Reid, would you want to play him there all the time? I'm not so sure.
The way Bobby decalled over Reid at the start of the season, you want him to be playing further forward. I mean, he scored the goal on Saturday. We have our first guest of the stream. Let's welcome Fulhamish's Drew Heatley. Drew, hello. Welcome to the stream.
Hi, guys. Long-time watcher, first-time caller.
Right. Where's your yellow tie, Drew?
Oh, no, I'm shameful. Sorry, I know you made your promise and I was really looking forward to it, but I could wrap a pair of yellow pajama legs around my neck, but it would be a bit makeshift.
Right. We have plenty to talk about. First of all, I want to get your thoughts on Saturday's 3-0 win against Stoke, because we've got to cover it despite all the shenanigans that happened on deadline day. Let's talk about 3-0 win. Your thoughts on what was a really good victory. Very good.
It was really convincing. And I think what's so funny about this start to the season so far is that, every game we're looking forward and we're saying, okay, well, this is the real test of the Championship, isn't it? It was, if you beat Millwall, you know where you are. Or, if you beat Huddersfield, you know where you are. And now it was Stoke, fellow 10-pointers. And it was bread and butter, wasn't it? And that is what's the most exciting thing for me. And, you've got players like Harry Wilson who have just slotted in like they've been there their whole careers. It's absolutely fantastic. It's difficult not to get carried away, isn't it? But when you've got performances like we've been having, it's not just the results, it's the way we've been playing. And we're starting to pick up those clean sheets as well now. So, yeah, really, really exciting.
I think it's just the fact as well that it's now fun to watch. And it's been so long since we could actually say that. And that makes me more excited for days like this, where, if you're a player now and you want to come to Fulham, you're probably knowing you're going to come to a team that plays lovely attacking football, is looking good. We can't say it's a dead cert, but is looking good for promotion, is likely to be up there at the very least. You can come into a team that seems to have great morale, a good manager, attacking philosophy. And so that's why I think that we're starting to get linked to these Watford guys. They've probably liked what they saw when he was at Watford, and they want to come and get another piece of the pie. So I'm so excited now for after the international break, if we get anyone in today, we've got Muniz coming in as well, and we can really integrate that squad. But Drew, who do you think, when you look at that lineup from the Stoke game, do you think there's any need for improvement in any of the positions or any more depth?
It's an interesting one, isn't it? We're playing well, we're looking well, and we could attract these sort of players that we want. But at the moment, we are looking quite good in many areas. I think the players that we've been linked to today, like the Chalobahs and the Keeners of this world, I think would probably complement the squad. I think Chalobah in particular would really be in and amongst it. obviously fullback Kenny Tete's out, and that's a massive blow. You said 4 months, Jack. I don't know whether that was confirmed or not, but that's pretty brutal, isn't it? I mean, I know that Silva said that's affected what we're doing. But it's a tough one, isn't it, to bring in the right back for saying when they know that he's only going to get a 4-month run in the team. It's a tough sell in itself. Yeah. I mean, I was looking on Twitter before I came on, and I see that Forest are signing Josh Maja for about half of what we were quoted.
Apparently, it's broken down.
Oh, has it? Okay.
Apparently.
I mean, even that price being thrown around, I felt a little bit offended because I think we would have probably tried to pick him up for that much. It was a tough season last season. It's been done to death, but I think he probably could have done a job in this Silver side, perhaps. But anyway, I mean, other than that, we're looking solid. But it's difficult, isn't it? Because I've seen 1 or 2 people say you're 1 or 2 injuries away from not having that sort of depth that you want, and you're starting to look into the Steven Sessions and Cyrus Christie's, for example, in that fullback position, and are you going to want to put them forward? So it's almost that it's almost Emperor's New Clothes, isn't it? Do we really have that depth, or are we just got bodies in Motspur Park?
Yeah.
We've got a comment here. Maja deal fell through. Apparently, West Brom are in for them now. I haven't seen that, but it's very hard to keep track of Twitter while you're on a stream. So if anyone does see anything legit, and I'm not talking stupid stuff in terms of like Messi he's already joined PSG. So just whack it in the chat, and we'll try and get it up because. Don't clickbait us though. Don't bait us into something that's not true.
You know what's going to happen. We're going to think we've signed someone.
No, I'm sure that they'll be sent to the Twitter chats and everything. Drew, I just wanted to ask you about Alexander Mitrovic, his new role. Sort of. He kind of like comes back into play, helps everyone link the play, and almost becomes a creator as well as a goal scorer. He obviously missed the penalty. How impressed have you been with him so far this season, especially on Saturday as well?
So impressed and so pleased as well, because we all love Mitrovic, and that's never been in doubt. But in those fallow times, you've had 1 or 2 dissenters come out, and it's one of those things where I've always said we don't get players with links to the club like the Tom Kennys, like the Mitrovics anymore. It's very difficult in this modern game. Now, Mitro wasn't blameless for the troubled times that he's had in the last 12 months to 18 months, however long it was. He's not blameless. And for him, there needed to be a little bit more from him as well. But it's difficult to try and unlock that. I think we're all, wide awake to the tactical fallacies that Scott Parker had and the tactical frailties. And we know that now. And we, having a coach like Marco Silva to come in there and unlock that extra dimension to Mitrovic, which, to be fair, we didn't really even see under Slavisa. What you're doing there is you're turning an already dangerous player into a completely different animal, and I think that's going to be something that could even beat his previous season goal tally this season, because the way he's playing at the moment, you wouldn't bet against it.
I think it's true now we've got Muniz coming in as well, and I know Stansfield did really well in the cup. He's got people on his back. I mean, it's people that people that we could actually have. Oh, Jack, what's going on? Some celebration.
Sorry, to cut you off. There's been a massive tweet from Peter Rutzler. Another late one for Fulham! ! Looks like it's going down to the wire with Chalobah and Keena talks. Wouldn't rule out Grimes yet either. .. #FFC.
So we're signing every single midfielder in the world. Fantastic.
Gotta love live TV, chaps. I mean, what that raises some questions as well, isn't it? Because we're going to get quite crowded in that midfield area. And look, I know Anguissa left today with my wishes. I wouldn't say they're my best wishes, but he has some wishes from me. But we are going to get, it's going to start looking like Grand Central Station in the centre of the park there. You've got some headaches for Silva, and does he have the paracetamol ready for those migraines? Because it's going to get tough.
Yeah, it's a weird one. It's going from completely like a little bit lightweight in midfield to the fact that we're having to play like youth players like Francois to now who are we going to leave out? Because I mean, on Saturday on the bench we had Anguissa and we had Reed, and I know Anguissa's gone. So then what you replace him with Grimes, you've also got Chalobah and you've got Keena.
Absolutely. And Keena's a funny one, isn't it? Because, he obviously started off at West Ham, didn't get a game there, and he got into Watford, a nominal fee, whatever, and Silva was there at the time and never really got going there either. So it's one of those ones where I couldn't say, hand on heart, I don't really know anything about the boy. But, Silva, what I do trust is that Silva knows, who he's worked with before. I trust what he's been doing, and I trust the project that he's building here. And if he wants to bring this chap in, then I'm all for it. But it'd be interesting to see how close these players are to the first team. I know Chalobah will come in, and if he does come in, he'd be absolutely a key cog in the 11 most weeks, I should imagine. But yeah, these other players, it'd be interesting to see. Grimes as well would move the needle, you'd have to say. That would be the big one. That would be the big carp if we managed to hook that one in. But
yeah,
it's somebody said in the comments, I'd take all three. Why not? Why not stock up? Why not? We're
yeah.
Can any of them play right back though?
Well, that's it. That's the real tough situation, and actually, that's the one where we've not heard a great deal going on at the moment. We've had a few names, but in talking about Peter Rutschler's tweeting, giving us all of the updates. Who's the closest? Who you guys tipping at all if anyone's going to come in?
Yeah. Well, I was going to ask you, Drew. Who do you think is going to come in? I think we'll ask all our guests this tonight. Who do you personally think is going to come in before the deadline?
Well, I've not heard a lot about any sort of potential right backs coming in. So I to be honest, your guess is as good as mine. It's one of those ones where I've seen all of these midfielders and being touted, but one of those areas we've not really spoken about. I've not really seen too much about, but it's one of those ones again. It's that hard sell. We always said getting a sort of backup striker in for Mitro was always going to be tough, and we've ended up looking at sort of supplementary instead, and that's where we've got our guy. But you can't turn around and say, well, you can, but you can say, you've got a form-up run in the side, but, who's going to really want to do that? You've got the short-term loans. You could look at emergency loans, but you couldn't really say it's an emergency when we knew about it in the transfer window, and we just failed to get the business done if we do. So it's going to be an interesting one. But we said earlier about Steven Sessegnon and Cyrus Christie, they're obviously surplus to requirements, both of those chaps, and I can imagine that they'll leave in the next hour or two. But you've got to say that keeping at least one as a contingency plan has to be the best way of doing business if something doesn't come off, which you might not.
Completely. And it is strange that we haven't had more outgoings today. I was expecting quite a few, and obviously it might still happen. We've got about 45 minutes and, they can still announce them going into the early hours of the morning. But you've got 4 right backs there as it stands. Obviously, Tete, one of them being injured. I mean, Steven Sessegnon and Fossey, both young right backs, slightly different in the ways they play, but you almost think one of them would have to go out on loan. And then obviously Christie seems like we're apparently letting him go for free, which begs the question, why did we extend his contract? So it's a very weird situation, but one thing's for sure. I mean, if we hang on to Odoi, we at least have that person there until January, but he just doesn't fit the style of play. And I felt that on Saturday, I thought he did a great job. But going forward, he's not the same. He doesn't give you the same energy that Robinson gives you on the left-hand side, that Tete gives you when he's there. And that's why I really think that I'm hoping that we are going to bring in a right-back today, and I hope that is the surprise.
Yeah, tweet from Peter Rutzler just said on the screen from Jake there. Peter tweets not all 3. It's that time of evening where I've turned Peter Rutzler tweets notifications on. Drew, finally, before you go, what is your prediction for Fulham this season? We've had a remarkable start, and we play Blackpool next. We got a nice international break just to take stock.
Yeah, there's an aura about the squad and team at the moment, and there's an aura about Marco Silva and the way that it's all going. We heard pre-season that the players were so buzzing with Silva coming in, and that was such a good thing to hear. And I think it's now translated quite clearly on the pitch. And obviously Louis Bow in there as well. I just think at the moment there's everything sort of gelling, and having gone up, gone down, gone up again, and gone down again. Each time you get a little bit stronger and a little bit stronger. And by far, the strongest teams went up last season. You're coming back into a championship, which I think is worse than the one that you left last time. But the squad is significantly better. So all of that, being said. It's got to be top 2 for me, but the longer we go on, I'm thinking we're going to get the trophy. And I know it sounds ridiculous when you're 5 games in, but you're just looking at what's going on in the rest of the league as well. And I'm just wondering who's going to be up there. West Brom, of course, but other than that, obviously Slavis is having an absolute nightmare, and he can pull that around. We know he can. We from Sunderland onwards, we know what he's capable of. But I don't know. For me, I'm very confident. I think we're going to be lifting that trophy at the end of the season.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed.
Don't clip this up in case we don't. But I don't know. It's a great time to be a Fulham fan, and it's just deserves. It's just like it's what we deserve at the moment. We've had that yo-yo period, which I know some people think is the way forward, but I think, as I say, each time you come down, you come back stronger, and at some point you're going to be strong enough to hoist yourself over the edge and stay there. And maybe this is the time.
Hopefully. Drew, thanks so much for stopping by. Honestly, it's been an absolute pleasure.
Thanks a lot.
We'll get you on again. All right, Drew. Thank you so much.
Cheers, boys.
Bye.
Thanks. See ya.
Joe, absolutely gutted. Hector Bellerin has joined Real Betis, and 2 days ago,
your bet,
he was 23-1 on Sky Bet, and I had a £5 free bet, and I was like, this is going to happen. I read reliable sources and Twitter pages I very much trust, and I asked Jack J. Collins, I was like, is it happening? And he was like,
you're throwing under the bus.
Yeah. And I was like, and he was like, oh, I don't think we can afford him. I was like, okay, I'll leave it. And they've just announced the signing. That would have been quids in. Quids in. But Joe, let's get back to some rumours and also touch on the Stoke game as well. How are you feeling? I mean, we've got 40 minutes. Rutzler is frantically tweeting, and everyone's getting very excited.
You know what time of the night it is? It is deal sheet time when they send through that tweet and it says this many clubs have put through deal sheets, and then we find out we're signing Lazar Markovic again, or someone of that ilk that is just basically crap. So fingers crossed, we've got some deal sheets in. From the sound of those tweets, I mean, it sounds like, in my opinion, we want 2 midfielders in.
Really?
So one to replace Anguissa and one that would have been coming in anyway. And to me, Chalobah and Grimes are very similar style of player, where they're a bit more deep lying. They're obviously slightly different in their styles. Keena is obviously much further forward. So in my opinion, it would surely, the logical thing to do would be Keena and one of the other two. So that's just my opinion. I'm not sure what you think, but either way, we're getting very quickly towards having, I think we had it anyway, but the best midfield the Championship has ever seen. And I doubt any Wolves fans are watching, but before you come at me with your Ruben Neves, who did not win Young Player of the Year, which is fantastic. I mean, I think we've got the best stock midfield that the Championship has ever seen. It's honestly, the strength in depth is unbelievable if we get these guys in.
So, but the thing is, it sounds like they're all centre mid. So, are you not concerned at all about the right back situation? A lot of people in the comments. I'm sorry, there's been so many comments that it's very hard to pick out. So, here's Will's comment here saying that Brian.
Some aren't concerned, it seems, but I'm definitely concerned, because until January we've got to play a right back that doesn't suit the system. He doesn't want to play Christie, who is more attacking than Adoy, I think it's fair to say, without being anywhere near as attacking as Tete. And it's just one of those things where, well, if Cavallero is in Bournemouth, that is news to me.
Surely not.
He's ball rolling his way to the south coast. So link up with Parker again.
I think that's the tongue-in-cheek comment.
I think so.
Well, a lot of people have been saying, "Oh, no, I think it just came from one person, and one person just So I don't know. No, it's not. It's not. We've got our next guest in. We've got Dan in the stream. Dan. Oh, he's got the tie.
Joe, when I saw you didn't do it, I had to do it. I went rummaging through my dad's wardrobe and came up trumps.
Oh, fantastic. Jack
can't hear you, Jack.
Oh, the yellow tie has just mesmerised him. No, but how are you doing, Dan? Are you all right?
Yeah, good, Joe. I've been enjoying the first 25 minutes. Good stuff, boys. It's exciting times.
We can hear
there we
you,
go.
Jack.
Got you.
Fantastic.
It was the tie that threw me off.
The yellow tie is absolutely fabulous value, and I wish I had mine. Honestly, I mean, it's been a weird day, and the yellow is actually really nicely links up really nicely well, because we're obviously linked to every single midfielder at Watford. So bringing you in, what are your thoughts on that tweet we were just talking about from Peter Rutzler, where it's Grimes, Chalobah, and also Keena? Sounds like we wouldn't be able to bring in all three. If it was up to you, who would you be leaning towards? Who would you want? And where do you think the squad is sort of missing out with depth?
Yeah, I think it's going to be from those three. I think one of them is going to be Keena. I think ideally, because as you touched on, Grimes and Chalobah are relatively similar. I think looking through them, I think there are slight differences between the two.
Yeah.
And I actually think that Matty Grimes slightly fits that sort of 8 role that we're looking to replace Anguissa with a bit better than Chalobah does, looking through his numbers.
Yeah.
Actually, when I look through Matty Grimes, last season in the Championship, there was only a couple of midfielders who completed more passes per game than he did. But also, there was only a handful of midfielders in the Championship who made more tackles than he did. So he's quite a good all-round centre midfield choice, whereas I'm not sure if Chalobah quite has that ball-playing side to him as much as Matty Grimes does.
Yeah.
So I do think it's going to be one of those two, and hopefully Keena. I think looking at Domingos Keena, he is someone who's not played a lot of football. He's only got 30-odd senior appearances, but when he does play, he is exciting. He's one of those players that I think would all love to see having a little dance around at the Cottage, because when he gets on the ball, he is a seriously exciting player.
Yeah.
I think my only worry with that is where it leaves Fabio Carvalho in the sense of his game time. I think it would be good to take some of the pressure off Fabio, having another option at 10, especially seeing as Kenny seems to be out for quite a while longer. So a bit of competition and a bit of a different option off the bench is always handy. I just hope it doesn't impact Fabio too much. I think any of those three, and ideally 2 of them, I think that's a seriously good final day.
Yeah. Patrick Roberts has joined. I'm not sure how to. Is it Troyes in France?
I
think you're asking the wrong guy, I'm afraid.
I'd have to ask the people who are in France. My family are in France. I'd have to ask them if they're still watching. But yeah, I mean, that's irrelevant to us. It's just a passing comment. There's also something to mention we haven't mentioned yet so far on the stream, and that was the massive fear, which I think is finished now, that Tosin Adarabioyo was going to go to Wolverhampton Wanderers. Yeah. Dan, he's been very important to us this season so far. Brilliant partnership with Tim Ream. It would be such a shame to lose him, but we would demand a hefty fee from him after the release clause expired. So your thoughts on Tosin so far this season? I think that there's nothing going to happen now. Thank God.
Yeah, I think we're past the point of anything with Tosin, and if it was to happen, I mean, it would have to be a serious amount of money. I actually think he started first 2 games, maybe game and a half. I would argue he actually started pretty shaky. He did look a little bit wobbly at times, and I think Tim Ream actually coaxed him through a couple of those games with his experience and how he does sort of marshal that defence. But since then, I think we've seen Tosin settle into what we saw him at his best in that Premier League season. And I think them two as a partnership complement each other really, really well. I think it's good for Tosin that he's got an actual left-sided centre-back, a left-footed centre-back to play alongside. It allows him to play on his favoured right foot, a bit more comfortable on the ball. And I think that they really complement each other really well. And I think it's only good news if we keep holding, because with the passing of that release clause, at some point, I feel like with Tosin, we're going to get a serious amount of money in for him, because you've got the English player tax and a sought-after centre-back, especially. Yeah. I think it works brilliantly for us.
50 billion.
Yeah, I mean,
exactly.
I mean, I think he's better than Ben White, put it that way. So going back to the midfielders and what you were saying, I think you made 2 really good points, Dan. One of them was about Carvalho and limited game time. I think the worry with Keena coming in is the fact that it's a loan, and we don't know if Chalobah would be a permanent or not. Grimes sounds like it would be. But if you're bringing a loan player, in my opinion, and I don't know if you guys are different, but when I think of bringing a loan player, you're bringing a loan player for one reason only, and that's to start. Unless they're, for example, a backup goalkeeper, something like that. Because otherwise, I feel like you would try and find someone permanent. And a loan is almost like someone that's a little bit out of reach that you can just loan in a bit of quality and start them. And the other point that you made that was good, I thought, was about Grimes. I just want to ask your guys' opinion on this. You think Grimes would be the better option? Chalobah has played in the Premier League for Watford. Do you think that makes any difference in terms of if we had to choose between the two, that we have someone that has played, if we go up, that has played there before, whereas Grimes, we're not too sure yet?
I think the thing with Chalobah and his Premier League stuff is that he actually didn't get much of a shot a couple of years ago
enough,
for
yeah.
Watford, and it didn't go too well for him. And I think the concern would be that he's played a huge part in their promotion season, and then they're very willing to let him go out the door as soon as they get promoted. So I would say that there's the potential there that Watford don't personally see him as a Premier League footballer. And now they could absolutely be wrong. And I think if you go back in Nathaniel Chalobah's career, you can see that he was thought to have quite a high ceiling at one point. And, you know, everyone develops at a different speed. And then there is the potential that if he drops down to us and he gets into a side playing the way that Marco's got us playing, he could just develop a little bit quicker than we've seen over the past few years.
Yeah.
But I think with the amount of Premier League football he's played, I don't know if it's a massive plus over what Matty Grimes has done for Swansea in terms of being their captain. You know, he played 45 games last season for them, took them to the playoffs. And so I think between them, I think that it is pretty level, and I think it is marginal. And I think either way, they'll slot pretty well into this side if we can get one of them in.
Lyle Thomas from Sky said talks over a permanent deal now at an advanced stage for Nathaniel Chalobah, but initial loan still not completely ruled out. So there was an initial loan offer, but it's now turned into a permanent, but the loan is not ruled out. That's the latest. Dan, I want to ask you about Saturday. We're going to ask everyone who's on here about it because it was just a brilliant game. To go 1-0 up within 5 minutes with the quality of goal we scored against the quality of opposition we're playing, considering the start that Stoke had to the season, extremely, extremely encouraging and pleasing to see. And the likes of Harry Wilson getting on the score sheet again. What were your thoughts on Saturday?
Yeah, it was brilliant. I mean, it was a joy again, which is amazing to say. And I think that early goal in the first 5 minutes, yes, it was huge, but I think extend it a little bit further. I think we won it in the first 20 when, as the game went on, Stoke's wing-backs got pushed deeper and deeper into their own half. And that was their only way they were ever going to hurt us. And that's where I think we won the battle. And I said it on the podcast today that I think we're really suited to this championship this season because of the number of teams that are deploying a similar tactic to Stoke with varying levels of player quality. And, you know, Stoke are pretty close to the top in terms of teams who play a 3-back in terms of their individual quality on the pitch. And the way we play with overlapping fullbacks, wingers who get tuck inside and can go around the outside, and two central midfielders in, it was Carvalho and Onuma on Saturday, who like to get into the box, in and around the box. It just drags teams who play a 3 at the back all over the place. And as soon as we saw Josh Tymon and on the right, Tommy Smith, just being tucked right in deep, not offering further up the pitch, we'd won that game. And in the second half, it was just a case of picking them off on the counter. It was brilliant. I thought it was fantastic.
Yeah, it's fantastic, wasn't it? I'll tell you what, you forget, because we started so late at 10 o'clock, you forget that the deadline literally closes in less than half an hour. And we haven't announced anyone. We haven't heard of any medical news or anything. So I am panicking and I cannot find that panic button. So I'll tell you what, let's end, Dan, on who you think will be here come like tomorrow morning. Who do you think is going to sign?
I think we're going to get both of those Watford boys over the line. I think they clearly, Watford don't have plans for them. I think, you know, with Marco Silva's Watford links, I think we'll get them both over the line. I would hope, out of the two of them, I'd actually hope Domingos Quina is the one who's got at least an option to buy, because I think he's the player with the biggest potential sell-on fee. You know, 21 years old. He's been thought of very highly and just never quite managed to break into a first team. But I think if given the opportunity, he could be a player who could be worth a hell of a lot of money in a few years' time if given a shot. And I just have a feeling that there's going to be one rogue player coming in, preferably a right back. I think we always get one with Fulham that seems to come out of nowhere on deadline day. And I hope we do. I thought Dennis was, as we've said, Dennis did play pretty well on Saturday. He's not going to put in a performance like that every week. He's got his limitations going forward. So hopefully there's a left field right back to come in.
Yeah. Fingers crossed.
Sammy, how have you found the transfer window as a whole?
Oh, I think it's been pretty positive, really, hasn't it? We've added where we needed to. We've managed to keep on to most of the players. If you'd have asked me at the beginning of the transfer window, kind of like what was the priority, then I would have said it is keeping hold of as many players as possible. And bar Anguissa and Maxime Lemarchand, obviously that was a huge blow to all of us. We've managed to keep on to most of them and add quality where needed. I still don't 100% know if Gazaniga was required, but he's had a good start to the season. Harry Wilson is an exceptional bit of business, and it's rattled the entire championship at the same time, which is fantastic. And look, we don't know much about Rodrigo Muniz really, other than that he's highly rated, he's highly tipped, and he seems to have a lot of potential. Like whether he could be someone that knocks about the championship for years to come and doesn't become much more than that. I don't have that feeling that he will, but he could. But also, we could literally have the next Richarlison on our hands. And if we have, then this could be the best window of all time if that is what happens. And now I to be honest, if the window's slammed shut now, and sorry to use that phrase, trademark Sky, if ended and we didn't sign anyone, apart from it be a bit of a disappointment for this particular live stream, it actually wouldn't be the end of the world.
No, you're right.
No, the squad, if it's slammed shut right now, again, sorry, I think that's just habit of just watching Sky Sports for the last few years. It would be a far better squad than I expected at this stage. I was thinking that Tete could be in trouble and could go. I mean, obviously the injuries helped that. Tosin, I was worried about. Robinson, I was worried about. Seri, I was not expecting to be involved, yet alone actually starting every game and being crucial. Yeah, running the show, running the championship. And so I'd be delighted if we had this squad. Obviously, as you say, it'd be a bit of an anticlimax for this, but it sounds like we are going to get some people in. I'm hoping that in Watford right now, there's 2 treadmills turned on, doing medical side by side, and in South Wales as well, of course. But I also hope that we're getting a right back in, and it seems like Maxime Lemarchand pulled Mr. Gilbert from being between us to what's the Strasbourg? Is it?
Strasbourg.
Yeah.
That seemed like a good option. And I would love there to be another right back link, just to make it a little bit extra exciting. I've just seen a shout there from Freddie Coops for Sasha Reether. And I mean, he fit the style of play back in the day. He was so exciting to watch in that first year.
I think, to be honest, I'm looking at everything right now, and if you said to me, right, Sammy, you can either have a right back or you can have a centre midfielder, I would rather have a right back for now, because I think Kenny Tete is a massive loss. I think Dennis O'Doy's okay, and he'll do a job there. Clearly, Cyrus Christie isn't favoured for whatever reason. I think overlooked a little bit, and I think would be fine at this level, but we don't really know what's going on behind the scenes there. And Stevie Sess is just not, someone's just asked a question there. Why isn't Stevie Sessegnon considered for the right back role? Says he did okay last season at Bristol City. I've heard that he didn't do that well. And this was a struggling Bristol City side. I just think he isn't quite what we need at this moment in time. I really hoped he'd be the next Ryan, but I don't think we have that at the moment with Stevie. I'd love to be proven wrong. So I think a right back's a little bit more crucial than a centre midfield. I don't know what you guys think. Like all these Chalobah, Grimes, Keena, rumours are exciting, but I don't know where you fit any of those players in.
Well, the problem is the right back situation is because the Tete injury came very recently. It's only taken us just a few weeks to sort of get it together and try and scramble to find someone to, 1, fit the system, and 2, get the agreement and sign. So I wouldn't be surprised if nothing comes off there. I've just seen that Millwall have signed Shea Ojo, which is extremely
interesting.
Throwback.
Interesting. But yeah, Joe, I don't know what you think about the whole situation.
Yeah, I mean, the right back one's weird, because I think I agree with Sammy in that if I had the choice right now, we're signing one player, right back or centre midfielder, I'd go for a right back. I think if the terms of the style of play until January, that's what we're missing. We can always go back in for Grimes in January, probably for even cheaper, by the way, if he doesn't sign a new contract, which he sounds like he wouldn't at this moment in time. In terms of the right back situation, it sounds like we've tried, but Drew made the great point earlier of who that is half decent is going to want to come and be a guaranteed starter for a couple of months. Great. Most likely when Tete's back, he walks back into the team, when he's back fit, because he's the best right back in the league at this moment in time. It's very unlikely we're going to get someone better in quality than him. So you know that you're going to be sidelined. And yes, if we get promoted to the Premier League, fantastic. You're going to be sidelined there as well. We obviously went in for Emil Kraft, it sounds like, the Swedish right back from Newcastle. Personally, not a big fan of that rumour regardless, but he didn't want to drop down a division. And if you're not going to be guaranteed to play after a few months, why would you? I completely resonate with his point of view, but I think we need a right back. It's not the end of the world if you don't get one, because we have options there. You know, Dennis Adoy is absolutely fine in the Championship, as we've said. It's going forward when I have the question marks, but you know, a defender's primary job is to defend, and if we've got someone there that can do a job for a few months, then it's fine by me.
Yeah, I think though you potentially could have got someone in on loan. Like I mean,
so.
is that completely unreasonable? This is a name, and I wouldn't profess to know enough about him. It might be an awful suggestion, but someone mentioned like a John Joe Kenny. He's not getting in the Everton team. He's a right back. He's young. He could probably do with the experience. Not a bad experience either, even if it's just 6 months playing in a team that's, well, it's going to be top 6, isn't it, at the very least? And it is going to play good football, a lot of opportunities to get forward. You know, people are talking about a Ryan Fredericks loan.
Yeah,
it's far-fetched.
I'd love it,
this is,
honestly.
If this transfer window has taught us anything, that is that far-fetched transfers can happen, and I don't think Ryan Fredericks to Fulham would be the top of the list if it happened. You never know, but it's not beyond the realms of possibility. So that would have been my suggestion, really. I mean, what are your boys' thoughts on Chalobah and Keena? I can't profess to know a huge amount about Keena. He looks to have a bit more potential though than Chalobah, and also Grimes as well. Both at 26, it's quite a funny age for us to be signing a player unless we know that their ceiling is the Premier League. And for both of them, I don't know if their ceiling is much above the champ.
In terms of Matt Grimes, he's probably the one I would want the most out of the three, given the fact that I think he is Premier League standard. I think the Swansea fans have held him up and rate him very, very highly. And he's their captain. And it's taking a big player off I wouldn't say a rival this season. I don't think Swansea are going to be any level to what they were last season. But Peter Rutzler, Matt Grimes to stay at Swansea. So there we go.
Okay.
Bedtime. Let's end the stream. Anyway, so Chalobah looks like it could happen 10 minutes till the deadline. So let's talk a bit more about Chalobah. Well,
just as you were getting into your flow about Matt Grimes as well.
I had to tweet that tweet.
It's almost like he's watching this and he saw what Jack Kelly was saying and thought, let's shut him up in mid flow. Yeah. Okay. Well, look, Chalobah. I mean, what do we know about?
I've got to admit, out of the two, and I was going to say, and this is not just because the Grimes gives off, I would have preferred Chalobah. And the reason for that is I've seen more of him in general over the past few years. Not as much recently. He hasn't been training with the first team. He had a similar situation to Will Hughes at Watford, where it became clear he wasn't going to sign a new contract. So I think they sort of put him with the under-23s and just said, okay, well, until we find you a new club or you sign a new contract, you can stay there. But when he was in the Premier League for Watford a couple of years ago and in the Championship for them, I thought he was decent. And the fact that Marco Silva knows him and wants him again brings me a lot of confidence. What I saw from Matt Grimes this season, last season's a different question. He looked very good. This season, wasn't impressed. And the style of play is similar to ours, where it's a lot of quick passing out from the back. And to be completely honest, if we're doing that, and he didn't seem particularly comfortable sitting in front of the back four with the way that Russell Martin wants them to play, then doesn't suit the style, in my opinion. And I was a bit underwhelmed when we were linked after seeing him play. But like before seeing him play, I was thinking, Swansea's captain, brilliant last year, fantastic. When I've seen him play in a style that's more similar to ours, not so fussed. So Keena excites me, but like you guys, can't say I know that much. Remember seeing him score a great goal for Watford against Cardiff a couple of years ago in the Premier League, I believe. And thinking, who's this guy? He must have been 19, 20 at the time. Now he's 21? So young prospect. But like Dan said, I do worry about what it means for Carvalho. I mean, I really hope that this isn't hinting at any bad news regarding the contract situation.
Yeah. I think I'm not too worried that it means anything for Carvalho. I would look at this more as we need a direct kind of replacement for Anguissa. And whilst, yes, like for like, they're not, I assume it's kind of one in, one out, having that bit of backup. Your only backup at the moment is Tyrese Wansois, who I think's got a big future. But I think that having someone a bit more solid there, like a Chalobah, will offer a bit more. Interesting fact about Chalobah is that he has an England cap, but officially has played 0 minutes for England. Do you know why?
Did he play like 59 seconds?
No, he played 6 minutes and 54 seconds, but it was all in injury time. So technically, he doesn't get any minutes
bizarre.
registered for England, and he has the second shortest ever appearance for England. Someone beat him by 1 second, 6 minutes and 54 seconds.
That is one of the weirdest facts I've ever heard. That is fantastic.
I didn't really realize that's how they counted the minutes. Is it? They don't count injury time for England, but I guess otherwise you'd get some players that would get a stupid amount of minutes if they played like a weird game where there was 20 minutes of injury time.
Yeah.
There's a lot of comments saying Aurier, his contract has been terminated to Spurs. Right back coming in. I think you're reading way too much in that, given I've read that Watford are interested amongst a load of other clubs from Europe as well.
Could you imagine the tears? Could you imagine the tears over a second tier?
That would be hilarious.
I mean, it's a free signing that as well, but we'd be accused of buying him for about 70 million.
No one on Keener at the moment. I'd be slightly underwhelmed with just one signing today, but I suppose a few years ago we had 5. A year ago we had like 3. So I suppose we have to dial it down a little bit, and we've had many a deal so far this summer anyway. Sammy, I wanted to ask you about Rodrigo Muniz. We haven't yet to see him, and I want to know whether will he play from the left or the right, or will he play straight down the middle? Will Mitrovic come out the team? Will he come in? I mean, how's it all going to work? Honestly,
I don't think we're going to see an awful amount of him this year. I think we're going to see him in fits and starts. I think we might. Well, I think we potentially could see him in the cup, not the Carabao Cup, but maybe the FA Cup later in the season. But I'm not 100% sure that we're going to see an awful lot of him. I would assume when we do see him, it will just be straight down the middle. As far as I know, he is a classic centre forward. Doesn't play too much on the wing. I'd be lying though if I said I was an expert, Jack, on the the positional flexibility of Rodrigo Muniz and his time at Flamengo. But I would imagine this is a down the middle backup for Mitrovic. And look, there's a lot of times where this season you'd hope that in a situation where we're 3-0 up like Saturday, where actually Mitrovic plays a big game or whatever, and we need 10-15 minutes from the backup striker just to have a go at a jaded team. I think actually this season is a good season for someone to bed in and get some minutes in this team. And look, when we're in the Prem next season and Rodrigo Muniz has banged in 10 goals from the bench, then maybe we really start asking the question of who's our main striker. But until that comes, I imagine as a 20-year-old adapting to England, he'll be fairly happy just to get minutes off the bench here and there. I'm sad for Jay Stansfield. That's where the only sadness of this deal. We kind of scored that goal in the Carabao. I hope he gets a chance against Leeds to prove himself. But you've got to be disappointed if you're Jay Stansfield thinking I could be number 2 striker in a big championship team here this year, and to see a player like Muniz comes in would be disheartening. But also, this is football. This is professional football. This is the best. This is one of the best clubs in the second tier. You don't just get a free ride because you've been in the academy. But you can totally imagine his disappointment, because as Peter Crouch has said in many a podcast, you never like the people fighting for the same position as you. You're always, looking over your shoulder and wondering, how can I be better than them, or getting annoyed when someone's brought in your position. It's natural. It's football, right?
But he's got the best strikers to learn off. Someone in Alexander Mitrovic he could learn off. And look, I mean, I think the loan market is still open, I'm sure, for like another week or so. So he might get a move out elsewhere. But I feel like maybe with Muniz, Mitrovic, and Stansfield as a third striker, I feel like that should be good enough just to hold him here and use him if need be. I think he'll be happy with that.
Yeah, 100%. And what a nice position to be in. Look, let's see how he does against Leeds in the cup. That's going to be a much tougher test than Birmingham was. I think that's going to be a really interesting game to go to. Like, I'm actually really excited for that match. If it is our second string against a decent Leeds side, like, bring it on. I'm really excited, to see a few of the young lads against a sterner test. Hopefully, a decent crowd on both sides in that game, because Leeds will bring. It'll be, we'll be in the away end actually for that one, and Leeds will have the home.
They'll be in the Riverside.
Yeah, we'll be in that little corner in the Putney end, and Leeds will have the Hammersmith, Johnny Haynes, and a bit of the Putney end as well.
And still say we should have taken more.
Yeah, exactly.
Sammy, it's almost time for, I suppose, the klaxon of the deadline. Any final thoughts on what has been a bizarre day, really?
Well, it wouldn't be Fulham if it wasn't 11 o'clock and nothing's happened. I think that's happened now several windows in a row where we've got to 11 and the deadline's shut. And then we've gone, but we've still got players to buy. And I think it happened in January with Madger. I don't think that got announced till long after the deadline. And certainly it wasn't summer, was it? By the time the window shut last,
it was like October,
But I think you definitely had Loftus-Cheek come in well after the deadline. Tony Khan tweeted that one after midnight, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So I think we were in for a long one, but it looks like now, I think it's just Chalobah, or you might get Chalobah with Keener thrown in. I cannot see there being a complete unexpected person coming in. This close to the deadline without someone like Peter knowing. You never know, but I can't see it. And someone's asked for a deadline foghorn. I can do it if anyone wants it.
Go on.
I guess we've got to wait until.
Wait.
Have we got an official time as to when it is 11? I don't know how many seconds we are through.
It's literally I'll literally just say it as soon as it says 11.
All right.
As soon as it turns 11, we're going to get a tweet from Peter just saying Fulham are done for the night.
Don't go to bed just yet.
Don't go to bed.
Just waiting for that clock to tick over.
We maybe went a bit early on this, but yes, I have the foghorn so ready. This is the life. I feel like this is
15 seconds apparently.
I'm feeling.
There we go. And that hits an hour on the stream with 460 viewers. That is fantastic. We really appreciate the support.
That's great, yeah.
To answer my brother's question, because it's quite an intriguing one, Musa Sissoko joined Watford. I would imagine that is, another body in midfield. They don't.
I think Watford have signed, and this might be wrong, but I think they've signed 4 centre midfielders this summer that I can think of off the top of my head. Plus they sold Hughes and now obviously possibly Chalobah as well. So it seems like they've literally gone out with the old that have got us there and done it before, but we got relegated a couple of years ago, in with the new, and they brought in these new guys. So I wouldn't be too worried. It sounds like he would have been involved if he'd signed a new contract, which he hasn't. So fingers crossed that's all there is to it. And there's actually, I haven't got that horribly wrong, and he's suddenly turned into an awful footballer, but I doubt that's the case.
A player we've been linked with a couple of weeks ago was Obafemi. He's just joined Swansea, who have just done some very late deals after selling Jamal Lowe to Bournemouth and Connor Roberts to Burnley. I mean, it's been a bizarre day at at Swansea. I don't really know what to do. We're kind of just sitting here waiting for some news.
Keep going, Jack. Keep going all the way till the end. You guys can do it. I might go to bed, but you guys can do it.
It could be time. It could be time for bed for Sammy, but we'll keep going until something happens. Okay. Although I probably will have to go to bed at some point as well.
Yeah. I was going to say, if I hear I might have to call it again.
You guys are young and fresh. You can keep going all night. Come on.
Sammy, thanks so much. You've been fantastic, and we really appreciate you coming on.
No, absolute pleasure, lads. So great stream. Loved it so far, and we'll see what happens. I don't think I'll be going to bed just yet.
No.
Hey.
Yes, Sammy.
Nice one, lads.
Well, now what? I feel like the end of Finding Nemo when they're all in their bags.
What's funny about that is that the second Finding Nemo reference you've made since we started making videos. Yeah. Well, Everton have just signed Solomon Rondon out of nowhere.
Oh my goodness.
So that's quite remarkable. Should we give it another 10 minutes and see?
Yeah, let's give it another 10 minutes. If something hasn't happened, it might have to be calling it a day, but I'm sure something will.
We're getting another guest on, I hear, which is exciting. Let me just link this person. So we're going to get another guest on for a third opinion, and then we'll give it 15 minutes, and then we'll call it a night.
Okay, sounds good. Who are we getting on? Matt Grimes after his move's fallen through.
Yeah, Matt Grimes is he's calling in from Swansea to tell us why we should still be excited. Solomon Rondon has just signed for Everton. Guys, it's been one of those days where I really thought we'd announce something on stream, but it just hasn't happened. It's only been the disappointment of no signing as yet.
I'm trying to think if we've ever had one on live. I think we had Ola Aina announced during it wasn't a live stream, but it was during one of our videos.
Yes, I remember. Yeah,
was hoping for another right back.
Yeah, I don't know what's really going on. By the way, the comments, you can only comment, I think, now if you're subscribed. So if you want to comment, please subscribe. We're really heading towards 4,000 subscribers. We really want to get up to 5 by at least the end of the season. We really enjoy making the videos. The live streams are always good fun. And the views tonight have been absolutely unbelievable. So to every single person watching, Joe, we want to say a massive thank you.
Oh, yeah, definitely. We were saying just before we came on, we were expecting a couple of hundred. We weren't expecting this many at all. So, yeah, thank you so much. And to everyone that's still watching now, we've been going over an hour. Deadline day chaos.
We've got our guest in. It is Jack J. Collins. Jack, how you doing, mate?
I'm not too bad, boys. How you doing? Well done. This has been excellent. Fantastic stream.
Oh, it's been so much fun. Also, I'm loving the shirt. I watched their game against, was it Udinese on Friday night, just before the Verona Inter game. They didn't have.
They're not very good. No, they have a lovely kit.
Is it tight on you, the Kappa shirts? Because they're always quite tight.
You know what? I was expecting it to be a lot worse, but it's actually okay. So it's all good. I've kind of got used to it. Kappa sponsor Betis still, so I've started to really be able to feel my way around what their shirt sizes are. But we're doing good. It's all good. This one's not too skin tight. I still have dark memories of those Fulham ones, the Berbatov kits, which I'd also, because I was a student at the time, I definitely bought extra large boys instead, and it was tight enough as it was. So you know, sometimes you just have to roll with it.
You've got to roll with it. You've got to take your time. You've got to say what you say. Don't let anybody get in your way. And that is what they're doing right now at Motspur Park. Just take your time. As long as you've got the deal sheets, it's all good.
Yeah, I'm waiting for the deal sheets. I don't know if we get it now or in the Sky Bet. I think it's a Premier League thing where they say X many teams have got the deal sheets in, but
also they keep getting, it gets longer and longer every year. Like the first time that ever happened, you were like, oh, okay, there's 4 deal sheets in, right? The last time it was like, oh, there's 28 deal sheets in from the Premier League. Well, wow, God, like let's just let's roll with that.
Yeah, we hinted at it earlier, but the worst ever has to be when we thought we were getting Yusuf Sabali in the January deadline, and there's a deal sheet in, and who's it for? Lazar Markovic. And yeah, that was terrible. That was awful. I remember that Fulham tweeted, everyone's still up, and a lot of people replied no, because they knew who they were going to announce.
Everyone was going to bed.
Jack, I feel like you owe me about 120 quid after.
I do. I feel really bad about this, man. I'm really sorry.
It's fine. I should have had the bottle to do it, put the bet on. Jack, what have you made of this day so far in Fulham terms?
I mean, look, it's been quiet. I think we were expecting it to be quiet. I thought we'd have 1 or 2 through the door at this point, but to be honest, I mean, I echo quite a lot of what Sammy said, right? It's been a really good window, and it's really nice to be sitting here at 11 p.m. a little bit like, oh, I would like this. I'd like some more things, but we did our business early. That's what we've been crying out for the last couple of windows, right? We've said, oh, it's all well and good getting your business done on deadline, and we've criticized so much, the fact that the things are left to the last minute. Now, what we've done this year, we've got our stuff done early. Yes, it would have been nice to get an auxiliary right back in today. I think the whole problem is trying to get someone who's not guaranteed to be a starter, with Kenny Tete coming back in, who's far too good for the Championship, but at the best of times, it's always going to be tricky. And I think we could probably do with another centre midfielder, but I would be perfectly honest, I'll be very surprised if we don't get one through the door. So like that's where I'm at. It's been very calm. I mean, it's been nice to not worry about Fulham, and I think maybe that's a nice change to have. While it would be great for the stream, while it'd be great to announce something, it's actually just really, really nice to suggest that we're not too bad. But I would be absolutely shocked if at least one doesn't get through the door. So we're all good.
I mean, that's quite an ominous message from Farrell in the chat. Business incoming. I mean, I don't know if he's on a wind-up or not. We'll find out soon, I guess. But yeah, I think I'm the same way, Jack. I think we'll get someone in because we know that they don't have to be announced at 11. It can be at any time, as long as I think by 1, as long as all the paperwork's done.
Yeah.
So I wondered, what are your opinions on? I know we've got cut off a bit before when Jack was saying he really wanted Matt Grimes, and then Matt Grimes heard him and said no. What's your opinion on Chalobah, Keena? If you could have one, very different players, who would you want?
I'm interested.
I was the wrong Jack.
There's 2 Jacks, mate. This is a problem.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, sorry.
Look, if it was me, I think Chalobah's probably the most set to play 6/8. He'll play in the middle of that double pivot. I like Quinoa. I think he's a really clever player, and I really liked him on loan at Granada last season. Now, it's a little bit different, and he sort of plays a bit of all over the place. We saw him a bit on the left, and we saw him a bit in the centre. We saw him a bit as a 10. But Granada are a bit of a funny unit, so it was kind of played within that Robert system, and it really did he did look clever, but I can understand why they're getting rid of him, because he seems to be one of those players who doesn't quite have a position. You get them where there's, we've said that last year, Bobby Reed's versatility was amazing because it gets us everywhere. It also means he doesn't always start because, it's like one of those ones you're looking at and going, okay, well, you can kind of come off the bench and play anywhere. And that makes you an incredibly versatile bench option. And Kinnear's a little bit the same. So I think Chalobah would be the man I would pick. But on the whole, like, either of them would do nicely for me. I think it'd be interesting to see if Keena can move onwards and start to really kickstart his career somewhere where he feels trusted and liked.
Yeah, completely agree. Jack, what do you think you're going to answer before?
I'm quite keen on Chalobah, but look, I think it probably might just be Chalobah, which I absolutely fine. It's another body in midfield after Anguissa went, and the whole purpose of Anguissa going was someone to replace him, and to have someone in like Chalobah is for me good, because he's good for the level. He could probably make the step up to Premier League if we were to get there. Matt Grimes, disappointing as it is, because we thought it was on the card for a while. It's something I'll just have to get over. Probably won't sleep tonight after that one, but I think I'm fine with it. I think Harrison Reed coming back into the fold as well. We've got the likes of Josh Onomah, who's playing out his skin at the moment. So to break into that midfield is going to be very difficult for Nathaniel. So look, if that's the only deal, then happy days. And the fact that, like Jack said earlier, it's good that we don't have much deadline day drama, because it means we're being last minute and we're panicking. To get all your business done early, which I'm sure Michael Silva would have wanted to do in the first place, is perfect. And it's reflected on the fact that we've now got 13 points from 5 games.
Yeah,
we could have easily got to this stage now, and we could have lost Seri, we could have lost Anguissa, as we obviously actually have. Reed could, he's still struggling with injury. Kearney's not back, and we could be here now going, we need Grimes, and we need Chalobah, and we need Keena. We're not in that situation. We're in a situation now where, and Sammy mentioned earlier, if we don't get these players, it is not the end of the world. Anyone now is a nice addition, cherry on top. And that's such a nice situation to be in, because look at past deadline days. I know, in my opinion, Premier League, when you're a promoted team, sometimes they're a bit different. You're trying to get these last minute deals, extra bits of quality. Right now, we're getting additional squad players that could also start. Whereas when we're in the Premier League, we're getting Anderson in, we're getting Loftus-Cheek in, we're getting Tosin in. Next game, they're all starting. These are suddenly the most important players, and we're in a position now where we're filling the squad very nicely. We're getting it in my position, and I remember saying this on the podcast the day after we got relegated against Burnley, that if we're going to bring players in this summer, I want it to be players that can make the step up. And in my opinion, we've done that on the whole. And I feel like these players that we're rumored to be bringing in tonight, if we do, are also players that could make the step up as well.
Yeah, I like that as a shout, Joe. I think you're absolutely right. I mean, look, and you talked about Chalobah earlier, so I'm gonna try and lay off and try and give you what I know on Keno, because I know that's slightly more than Sammy in the tank on it. So we're flipping it out. But I think maybe the most interesting thing is, and I was just double checking that I was right on it, was he played in the Portugal under-19 team that won the European Championships in 2018. And you look at the players in that team, and he played as kind of sort of 8/10 in a midfield three. On his right was Florentino Luis, who obviously linked with quite heavily last summer. The people who played in front of him, Jota, as in João Felipe, who's just joined Celtic from Benfica, Francisco Trincao, who plays at Wolves now. Thierry Correa played right back. He's obviously in France now, doing well. Ruben Vinagre plays. This is, David Carmo, who's at Braga. And you look at it and you think this is a very good side. He started in front of some very, very good players. And when you're kind of putting that all into perspective, and it was a tournament, they were brilliant in Portugal. They were absolutely fell in love with the team they were playing. But over the course of the whole, situation, the course of the whole the games, he played most of the tournament. He was very much a mainstay in that midfield three. And I'm just kind of in my head kind of working out, how Fulham have played this year has been with a midfield three, which kind of rotates around 2 10s. Yes, Fabio Carvalho is, on paper, the more advanced midfielder, but actually it's been him and Josh Onomah dovetailing quite nicely. And therefore, to kind of make that happen with someone behind them, especially in games where we feel we're going to be dominant, Keener could be a really nice option there as a rotator for Josh Onomah, which is perhaps something that we haven't really considered. We looked at Josh Onomah last year, and we missed him. His energy, his drive in the middle. To have someone in there who's a bit like that, I don't think we have a player necessarily of that ilk right now, who could be able to kind of fulfill that role. And maybe that's what I would like most if Keener came in, if we could make that work as part of that kind of midfield trio, to have two players who play in front of the sitting six, who look like it's going to be Seri. Then it feels like Fulham would be picking up someone quite smart there, whereas Chalobah feels more of a kind of six rotator than Keener might. So if we do end up getting both of them, I think it's something to consider, that we've not just brought in two players of the same mold. Whereas I think maybe Grimes and Keener would have probably fitted into the exact same position in this side. You wouldn't really have played Grimes on his own at a pivot. So that's kind of where I'm at with it. And that's perhaps most interesting if we're actually, if we are going for both, and it looks like we are at the moment, whichever comes in, they're going to play slightly different roles, I think.
There's a tweet going around just very quickly, just saying that according to, we've got a bit of a competition with live stream, the Athletic live stream, and a few people commented it. Apparently we have 2 deal sheets in that was confirmed by the Athletic. So you would presume that is for Chalobah and Keener. Whether that means that we go through both of them is another thing, but that's 2 deal sheets that are in, and fingers crossed that is 2 new signings for us.
And that player Marco Silva will want it, given his time at Watford. So this is all just very, very positive stuff. It's so funny because obviously this time last year we were sat here in absolute disarray talking about Parker and his fallout with Tony Khan. A year later, and we get relegated, we're sitting in a more positive position when it comes to the manager and board's relationship, which I think is so not counterproductive. I think it's so productive. And I think that is why so far on the pitch things have looked very, very good, because Silva's just come in and he's gone, look, I want this. I've done my research on all the players. I want this player in. I've got this guy, Rodrigo Muniz, who I really want. Let's get him in. And we've just gone, right, as long as it fits within FFP constraints, it'll be absolutely fine. But of course, that's slightly tongue-in-cheek. But hopefully come in a couple of weeks, we don't get investigated by the EFL and land us in a bit of trouble. Although, even if that does happen and we can't sign anyone in January, I mean, I'm not panicking. It'd be annoying, but I'm not panicking.
Absolutely, that's it. We and that's such a nice position to be in. I think this is where we've got to, right? We want to be in a position where we can look at it and discuss a game and discuss, all the business we've done and not worry about the panic stations that we got to last year, right? That's the pleasantries of it. And so the fact that no one has been announced just yet, that no one is currently signed for Fulham, is fine. Like, yes, more players would be nice, and we'll keep coming back to the exact point, right? More players would be nice. We'd like them to come in. Ideally, we would have let the championship know we were here by spending 100 million today and just squeezing more tears out of certain podcasts that aren't not the top 20. But that's just me, right? Like, this is it's not about winding people up as much as it's fun. It's about getting promoted, and at the moment, Fulham, the way that we're playing, the squad feels like it's deep enough. Right back is potentially the only place there. You want a little bit of rotation, a little bit more in the centre. If we're going to see no long-term, improvements in Tom Kearney's condition, sure, then we might need another body in the centre. But then again, you said it earlier, Dennis Odoi came in at the weekend and did really well. Now, do I think Dennis Odoi should be the long-term starting right back for Fulham? No, and of course I don't. And to be perfectly honest with you, if it was left to me to decide which of the right backs at the club were going to be the ones starting in the absence of Kenny Tete, I suggest that Cyrus Christie is the person who's most stylistically similar in terms of getting forward and being able to push down that side. But there's obviously something that's happened there that we don't know about behind the scenes that's meant that isn't going to work out. And so if Dennis Odoi is the person who sits in that gap, he's a long-term stalwart at the club. He's a long-term, servant. He's been brilliant for Fulham. And when he's on the right, he's much more likely to do the back thing again. So, it's all win-win, isn't it?
Yeah, that is true. It seems like a really positive end to the window. No matter what happens, we've got the deal sheets in. Fingers crossed we can get them over the line. But this is the most positive I've felt about a Fulham squad in such a long time, and I just hope that the new players fit into this squad harmony, which seems to be just through the roof right now. It seems like that everyone's playing with a smile on their face. And from the looks of it, some quality players want to come and join the party on a certain boat that is heading one way, and that is up.
Yeah, boats don't go up; they go forward. Hopefully,
Apologies. Not the Titanic. The Titanic went a bit up before it went. Sorry, apologies. I hope we don't go back down.
Okay. I think we should call it a night. We're talking about directions of boats. But look, I'll tell you what, we really appreciate everyone who's been in the stream tonight, watching, everyone who's come on, Jack, Sammy, Dan, Drew. Everyone's been absolutely fantastic. And Jack, thanks so much for some fantastic insight. We really love what you're doing.
No, thank you for having me, boys. I love this show, and you two are doing a wonderful job. So thank you for having me. I'll let you say goodbye to your loyal following without me, but it's been really lovely. So thank you for having me, boys.
Thanks a lot.
Cheers, Jack. We'll see you soon. Thank you.
Take it easy.
Joe, we've got something exciting planned for tomorrow, which is going to be out during the international break. We won't say anything until it's out, and let's wrap up now, because I can see the corner of my eye. My girlfriend's already falling asleep. She's bored of the news. Chalobah in, she's saying.
So, someone let her know that there are 2 deal sheets in. Come on.
It's fine. I've just texted her.
Everyone in the comments, thank you so much. We've really enjoyed it. Thanks to all the guests. Dan, if you're still watching, exceptional yellow tie. Put me to shame. Apologies. We can't get all the comments up, but thank you so much for sticking with us, and really enjoyed it. And fingers crossed in January. I mean, God knows if we'll end up signing anyone then, but we can do another one, Jack.
Yeah, we'll see what happens in January. I'm sure we'll be back with another live stream after the international break, given the fixture list and everything. There's been some Sky games announced, of course, the Coventry, QPR and West Brom, all on in October. Joe, it's been a pleasure. We're really sorry about the comments and stuff, but keep it clean in here, because we're creating a great community here and we're really enjoying it. So, Joe, any final thoughts?
No, nothing from me. 2 deal sheets in. Fingers crossed we can get at least one of them over the line, if not both. And yeah, enjoy your evening. If you're staying up to watch any of the madness unfold, then enjoy. And if not, I'm sure you'll wake up in the morning to a few tweet notifications.
Yeah. I think this is the time where I turn off Fulham notifications after the window closes. Thanks, guys. It's been fantastic. Joe, you've been fantastic.
Yeah, you too, Jack. Enjoyed it. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, guys. We'll see you soon for another video.